Keanu Reeves stepped onto the Jimmy Kimmel live set, and the world seemed to pause, a quiet gravity pulling every eye, as if his presence alone could hush a storm. The studio lights burned warm, casting golden streaks across polished black walls, while the audience's cheers roared through the Hollywood theater, a tidal wave of love shaking the packed seats. They came for laughs, Hollywood tailies, maybe a spark of his fabled charm. But something deeper stirred, a moment no one could predict, not even the host waiting to greet him. Jimmy Kimmel bounded out, navy suit sharp, red tie vivid, his grin wide, eyes glinting with mischief and warmth, ready to weave humor and heart into the night. The band's horns blasted, a lively pulse fading as he settled behind his desk, leaned into the mic, voice booming. "Tonight, we've got a man who makes the world feel lighter just by being here. Give it up for Keanu Reeves." Applause exploded, a thunderclap echoing off the rafters, as Keanu emerged. Dark jeans snug, black shirt loose under a tailored blazer, a small silver cross necklace gleaming against his chest, its subtle shine cutting through his understated style. His hair fell soft, framing a face etched with sorrow and grace. And he raised a hand, shy smile breaking, as if the crowd's roar warmed his soul and caught him off guard. He took the guest chair, posture easy, no trace of Tinseltown gloss. Just a man who'd walked through shadows and still carried light. Jimmy leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "Keanu, you step out, and it's like we're all at a family reunion. How do you do it?" The audience laughed, a bright wave, and Keanu chuckled. Voice low. "No clue, Jimmy. It's you guys, this energy. I'm just along for the ride." Banter flowed smooth, Jimmy tossing quips about John Wick flips, Keanu's motorcycle rides through desert roads, the time he gifted his Matrix earnings to the crew. "You're like a superhero without a cape, just handing out paychecks," Jimmy said, and Keanu shrugged. "They're the ones diving through glass, I just share what's fair." The crowd cheered, enchanted. But as Jimmy's questions grazed Keanu's kindness, his eyes flicked to the cross necklace, a fleeting glance, and the air shifted, like a breeze before dawn. The talk deepened, Jimmy's tone softening. "You're this guy everyone roots for. Giving so much, but life hasn't been easy, has it? How do you keep it together?" Keanu's fingers brushed the cross, a reflex, not for show, and he paused, eyes drifting, as if stepping into a memory the cameras couldn't touch. "Life's a fragile thing," he said, voice steady, heavy. "I've lost my daughter, stillborn, my partner, taken too soon, my best friend, gone. You don't get over that, you carry it, like a weight you learn to hold." The audience hushed, breath caught, the studio's glow dimming in their minds, as if the lights bowed to his truth. "But you keep going," he added. "Not because you're unbreakable, but because something pulls you forward, something bigger." Jimmy nodded, moved, his hand grazing a small crosspin on his lapel. Faint but there, echoing Keanu's necklace in quiet symmetry. "Something bigger," Jimmy repeated, "like faith?" Keanu's gaze met his open, calm. "Yeah, faith. Not a map, but a feeling there even when you can't see it. ... The crowd murmured, soft, some nodding, others leaning in, sensing a current beneath the words. Jimmy, voice quieter. "That cross, it's more than jewelry, isn't it?" Keanu's fingers grazed it again. "It's a reminder," he said, "of what I've lost, what I've found, what keeps me here." The stage felt intimate, no longer a show but a shared breath, hearts drawing close. Jimmy leaned back. "I wear this pin sometimes, not sure I've earned it, but you make it feel heavier in a good way." Keanu's smile was small, true. "Maybe it's earned you, Jimmy. Ever think that? ... The audience exhaled, a gentle wave, as if they'd been waiting to feel it too. Jimmy's grin softened. "You're gonna make me preach on my own show, man." Laughter rippled, warm, holding the depth without breaking it. Then Keanu's face shifted, a flicker of resolve, like he'd chosen to open a hidden door. "Jimmy," he said, voice low, deliberate, "can I tell you something I've never shared, not on air, not with anyone?" The studio fell silent. No rustle, no cough, just a pulse of pure attention. The kind that binds SOULS. Jimmy's eyes widened, caught off guard, but he nodded. "Go for it, Keanu, I'm right here." Keanu took a slow breath, hand resting on the cross, grounding him as the lights seemed to soften, framing his words. "There was a night," he began, "years ago. I was in a hole, the kind where you don't see a way out. I wasn't sure I wanted double quotes. The words landed like rain on dry earth, soaking deep, the crowd still, some hands clasped. Others touched their necks, seeking anchors of their own. "I was alone," Keanu said, "in a dark room, scrolling my phone, trying to outrun my head, and I found a clip of you, Jimmy, right here, on this SDAGE. Jimmy froze, his grin fading, replaced by a raw focus. "You weren't joking," Keanu continued. "You were talking about your life, your mom, your fights, how you got through, and you touched that pin." He nodded at Jimmy's lapel. "Said it wasn't just a thing, it was a promise, that no matter how deep the dark, there's a reason to keep going." Jimmy's hand drifted to the pin, fingers trembling. "I remember that night," he whispered, voice rough. "Wasn't my best day." Keanu nodded. "Yeah, and you didn't know. But you were talking to me, across that screen. I watched it 5 times, couldn't stop. That pin, your words, they were a rope, pulling me up. Double quotes." The audience was still, eyes wet. A woman in the front row pressed her hands together, as if praying the moment would hold. "I got up the next morning," Keanu said. "Not whole, but alive, because you showed me I wasn't done. Double quotes. I got up the next morning," Keanu said. "Not whole, but alive, because you showed me I wasn't done. Double quotes." Jimmy blinked fast, tears brimming, his usual charm gone. Just a man hearing his impact echo back. "Keanu," he managed. "I was just talking, didn't think it'd go that far." Keanu's smile was gentle. "That's why it did, Jimmy. It was real, you weren't selling anything. And that pin, it wasn't just yours, it was a light, and it found me." The studio lights glowed brighter, or maybe it was the truth bending the air. As Jimmy gripped the desk, voice cracking, "I'm glad, man, more than you know. That's EVERY to HING." The crowd felt it, a warmth spreading, some whispering, others still, as Keanu leaned closer, eyes locked on Jimmy's. "But there's more," he said, voice steady, charged. "Something I've carried since. Something I've never told a soul, and I need to say it now, because it's not just about me, it's about YOU." The audience leaned in, hearts pounding, not for drama, but for something sacred, a shift that could ripple beyond the stage. Jimmy's hand tightened on the pin. "What's that?" he asked, voice faint, and Keanu's cross shone, as if whispering a miracle before his words could land. The Jimmy Kimmel Live studio sat wrapped in a hush, a stillness so deep it felt like time itself paused, as Keanu Reeves faced Jimmy Kimmel, his silver cross necklace glinting soft against his black shirt, a quiet emblem of battles fought and won. The stage, once alive with banter, now held a reverence, as Keanu's words, "There's more, something I've never told a soul," hung like a lantern in the dark. Jimmy's fingers clutched his crosspin, his face raw, open. "What's that?" he asked, voice a trembling thread, and the air quivered, heavy with the promise of truth unfolding. Keanu leaned back, dark jeans creased, blazer loose, the cross steady, not a showpiece, but a piece of his heart, its shine catching the studio's golden glow. "That night I saw your clip," he said. "It wasn't just what you said, Jimmy, it was you, standing here, scarred but strong, talking about your mom, your lows, that pin." Jimmy's eyes glistened, nodding faintly, as Keanu's voice softened. "You said it wasn't about being perfect, it was about showing up, believing there's a purpose, even when life cuts deep." The audience was silent. A woman in the back pressed her hand to her cheek. Catching a tear, a man gripped his son's shoulder, their silhouettes fading under the stage's warm light. "I was lost," Keanu went on. "My daughter, stillborn, my partner, gone. My friend, slipped away. I'd built walls, not to keep others out, but to hold myself together, you know. Jimmy murmured, "Yeah, I know," his own wounds echoing in the quiet. Keanu's fingers brushed the cross. "Your voice, that pin, they pierced through. Made me think maybe I wasn't done. Maybe I had something left to give." Jimmy swallowed hard. "You've given more than anyone, Keanu. The way you move through the world, it's a gift." Keanu shook his head, gentle. "Not without you, that's my point. I carried your truth. Not the stage, not the fame, but the guy who wore that pin like it anchored him." The crowd felt it, a warmth blooming, not applause, but a shared breath, as if Keanu's gratitude was theirs too. A flashback flickered, unseen by the crowd but vivid. Keanu in a dim apartment, curtains drawn, phone glowing, Jimmy's younger face on screen, navy suit rumpled, pin shining, voice raw. "My mom used to say, if you're breathing, God's got a plan, even when you can't see it." Keanu, hollow-eyed, watched, replaying it, the pin a spark in his dark. Back in the studio, Keanu's voice pulled them present. "After that, I started noticing things, small stuff. A barista's smile, a dog chasing its tail. Moments I'd shut out. And I realized faith isn't a book. It's a choice. To see light where it's pitch black." Jimmy's hand steadied on the desk. "You make it sound like poetry," he said, a half smile breaking through emotion. "It's not," Keanu replied. "It's messy, but it's real. And you, Jimmy, you lit that spark. You and that pin. You were my guide." The word lingered. Guide. And Jimmy's breath hitched, his eyes flicking to the pin, then back to Keanu. "I wasn't trying to guide anybody," he said, voice rough. "I was just surviving, my own doubts, my own falls." Keanu nodded. "That's why it worked. You weren't posing, you were living. And it reached me in a place with no way out." The studio lights pulsed, or maybe it was the crowd's quiet energy. As Keanu's voice grew firmer, "I'm saying this now, not just to thank you, but because I see it. Jimmy, the same light you gave me, you're giving it to others, and you don't see how far it carries." Jimmy frowned, unsure. "What do you mean?" Keanu's cross gleamed as he leaned closer. "You think you're just a host, cracking jokes, but you're a bridge, connecting people to something they've lost, hope, faith. Call it what you want." Imi blinked, caught off guard. "A bridge?" "I'm just trying to keep the show afloat, man." The audience chuckled, a soft ripple, but Keanu's gaze held steady. "That's what makes it powerful. You're not chasing anything. You're being you, and that pin, it's not just yours. It's a beacon, lighting up for someone every time you wear it." Jimmy's fingers tightened on the pin, his face a blend of awe and humility. As the crowd sensed a shift, a warmth spreading, like sunrise touching frost. Another flashback broke in. Keanu on a film set, years later, rain-soaked, pausing to watch Jimmy's show on a crew member's phone. Jimmy laughing, then turning serious, touching the pin. "Life's tough, but you're tougher, because you're still here." Keanu smiled then, faint, the cross hidden under his jacket. But there, grounding him. Now in the studio, Keanu's voice rose. "I saved that clip, Jimmy. Watched it when the weight came back. One line stuck, you said, 'If you're still here, there's a reason. God's not done with you yet.' I held that. It carried me. Double quotes." Jimmy's eyes widened. "I said that?" he asked, half laughing, half stunned. "You did," Keanu said, "and it's not just for me. It's for everyone watching. Everyone who's ever felt like quitting. You're telling them they matter just by being you." The studio was still, a sacred quiet, as Jimmy wiped his eyes. "You're turning my whole gig into something else," he said, voice breaking. "But I'm listening, man. Keep going." Keanu's expression sharpened. "There's one more piece," he said. "Something I've kept inside, something you need to hear. Because it's not just about what you did for me. It's about what you're doing right now for the world." The audience leaned closer, hearts racing, not for drama, but for something holy, a truth ready to unfold. Jimmy's hand rested on the pin. "Tell me," he said, voice steady. and Keanu's cross shone brighter, as if heralding a miracle waiting to break free. The Jimmy Kimmel Live studio glowed with a quiet sanctity, the audience suspended in a hush as Keanu Reeves sat across from Jimmy Kimmel, his silver cross necklace a soft spark against his black shirt, a symbol woven through years of loss and light. The stage, once a canvas for comedy, now felt like a hearth, warm with shared truth, as Keanu's words, "There's one more piece, something you need to hear," landed like a vow. Jimmy's fingers gripped his crosspin, eyes glistening, voice a whisper. "Tell me." And the air hummed, alive with the weight of a miracle stirring. And Keanu sat steady, dark jeans worn, blazer open, the cross resting calm, not a decoration, but a piece of his soul, its shine catching the studio's golden haze. "That clip of you," he said, "it wasn't just a lifeline, Jimmy, it was a fire. And it didn't just pull me through, it showed me something bigger about you." Jimmy tilted his head, curious, as Keanu's voice warmed. "You stood there, raw, talking about your family, your struggles, that pin, and you said something I carried. God doesn't waste pain. It's got a purpose, even when it's invisible." The crowd was still. A man in the front row nodded slow. A woman clutched her scarf, tears falling quiet. "I was broken," Keanu said. "My daughter, gone before she breathed. My partner taken, my friend lost. I thought pain was my story, but you, Jimmy, you showed me it was a path, not an end." Jimmy's hand stayed on the pin. "I was just being real," he said, voice thick. "Didn't know it'd land like that." Keanu smiled. "That's why it did. You weren't acting, you were breathing, and it reached me in the deepest dark." A flashback flared. Keanu in a cold motel, years back, phone dim, Jimmy's face flickering, pin glinting, voice steady. "Pain's not a punishment, it's a teacher, means you're still in the game." Keanu, eyes sunken, watched, the cross now on his neck, a new weight grounding him. Back in the studio, Keanu's voice pulled them present. "I started living again, small steps, because of you. I saw faith wasn't about knowing. It was about trusting there's meaning, even in the hurt." Jimmy swallowed. "You make it sound like a gift, man, what you've done with it." Keanu shook his head. "It's your gift, Jimmy. I'm just carrying it. But here's what I see. You're giving it to millions every night, and you don't even know how far it goes." Jimmy blinked. "Millions? I'm just making people laugh, keeping the show running." Keanu leaned forward. "No, you're more. You're a voice. For the dad who's lost, the sister who's scared, the kid who's hoping. Every time you're real, with that pin, you're saying they're not a one." Jimmy's breath caught, his eyes searching Keanu's, as the studio lights seemed to flare, or maybe it was truth breaking through. "I kept your words," Keanu said. "God's not done with you yet. They held me, but they're yours, Jimmy. You're living them, every day, right here." Jimmy wiped his cheek. You're making me sound like I've got it all figured out. I don't, man." Keanu's smile was gentle. "That's the miracle, you don't need to. You're just you, and that pin, it's not just a pin. It's a promise, touching lives you'll never see." The crowd stirred, a soft murmur, some whispering, others still, as Keanu's voice rose. "I'm telling you this because I see it, Jimmy. You're not just hosting, you're healing, you're a light. And it's changing the world like it changed me." Jimmy's hand tightened on the pin. "I don't know what to say," he managed, voice cracking. "This is big. Keanu." Another flashback. Keanu on a quiet street, years later. Watching Jimmy's show on a cafe TV, Jimmy touching the pin saying, "You're still here. That's no accident. There's a reason." Keanu, cross gleaming, smiled then, a spark reigniting. Now Keanu leaned closer. "I want to start something," he said. "Not a project, but a movement, call it Cross of Hope, where people share their stories, the moments that saved them, the lights in their dark, like you were for me." But a movement. Jimmy's eyes widened. "A movement?" Keanu nodded. Yeah, people posting, speaking, not about pain, but about hope, the stranger who helped, the words that lifted. All tied to this. He touched his cross. Not dogma, but connection. The audience exhaled, awe spreading, some nodding, others wiping eyes as the idea bloomed, vivid, real. Jimmy leaned forward, like a chain of stories, people holding each other up. Keanu's eyes lit up. Exactly, and it starts here with us. You sparked it in me, now we spark it in them, and they carry it forward. Jimmy's voice steadied. That's beautiful, man, but huge, you sure? Keanu's smile was certain. I've never been surer. It's not mine, it's ours. The crowd rose, not clapping, but standing, faces bright, pledging to the moment. A woman smiled through tears. A man clasped his hands, as if joining a VOW. Jimmy stood slow. You're changing my whole show, Keanu, he said, tears falling. And Keanu rose too, meeting him. Their embrace a seal, not of fame, but of faith. The crowd joining, a silent ovation. Hearts open WIDE. Clips flooded online. Keanu's cross, Jimmy's pin, their words, trending as #Hope lives. Stories pouring in. A nurse who stayed because of a patient's note. A father who forgave because of a song. The world weaving a tapestry of light, not noise, but grace. Jimmy turned to the crowd, voice strong. This man just rewrote what this stage means, he said, hand on the pin, and we're all changed. Keanu's cross shone, the studio a beacon, a miracle not of spectacle, but of souls united, proving faith, quiet and true, could still light the WORLD.
Thank you for watching our channel Modern Stories. If you liked our video, you should subscribe for more amazing videos like this. Have a healthy and happy day. See you in the next one.